The Trump regime has crossed into full autocracy. If you can't see that or don't believe it, it's time to wake up to our shared reality. Let's start with DOGE, the Elon Musk self-serving faux Department of Government Efficiency that Trump has subcontracted so that he can play golf and take the credit without doing any work. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island dismissed Republican claims of targeting waste, fraud, and abuse as a mere cover for their true agenda. Comparing Trump's dismissal of inspectors general to firing the cops before robbing the bank, Whitehouse argued that the administration was intentionally destabilizing government institutions to benefit Trump's wealthy donors and special interests that view regulations as an obstacle. Meanwhile, in a separate legal effort, 23 Democratic state attorneys general have intensified their challenges against DOGE's actions, as well as deep budget cuts at the Treasury, USAID, and other federal agencies. Arizona's Attorney General Chris Mays said, "In the U.S., we appeal rulings we disagree with. We don't ignore court orders or threaten judges with impeachment just because we don't like the decision. This is a coup. Plain and simple." So far, according to DOGE's own recently hacked website, no corruption or excessive waste has been found. The listings that they've put, some of which compromised national security, weren't anything out of the ordinary. It's just that Musk and Trump have no idea how government works, so some of these things came as a bit of a shock to them. The latest round of layoffs came as Musk said on Thursday that the US should delete entire agencies from the federal government as part of his strategy to shutter any investigations or regulations that affect his own businesses. And let's be honest, if Musk really wanted to cut federal spending, he would start with military spending. The USA is the largest military spender in the world. In 2023, it paid out $880 billion, more than the next 8 countries combined. And then there's the cost of the military itself. In 2023, the US military spent approximately $820.3 billion, or roughly 13.3% of the entire federal budget for that fiscal year. Instead, DOGE has culled individuals, people, and policies whose ideology Musk and MAGA disagrees with, especially essential diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility and foreign aid to Black Africans. This is not about cost savings. It never was. It's simply white supremacy, racism, and abject cruelty. I mean, in your opinion, you might not want 0.63% of the federal budget spent on foreign aid, but what Musk isn't telling you is that this independent agency's goal is to counter Chinese and Russian influence and advance America's interests by strategically providing foreign aid where it's needed. Broadly, USAID aims to fight disease, reduce poverty, and address humanitarian needs. It's a big mission that makes up just a tiny slice of overall government spending, but ensures that America leads the world with outreach, providing life-saving assistance to approximately 130 countries, preventing AIDS and other diseases from reaching America. But the removal of funding won't just stop with foreign aid. Trump, Musk, and the MAGA Republicans are coming for your healthcare too. And I know they said they wouldn't, but they lied. The latest GOP budget plan proposes slashing up to $880 billion from Medicaid, with more hardline conservatives demanding even deeper reductions. Despite this, Trump and Mike Johnson claim these cuts will target only waste and abuse, denying that Medicaid itself is in jeopardy. However, the notion of painless Medicaid cuts is misleading. The program provides essential care for tens of millions of Americans, including seniors in long-term care, people with disabilities, low-income workers, and children. Any major reduction in funding would significantly impact these vulnerable groups, despite Republican efforts to present the cuts as harmless fiscal discipline. Meanwhile, the GOP plans to extend Trump's 2017 tax cuts, adding over $4 trillion to the deficit over a decade, while increasing military and homeland security spending. To justify these moves, Republicans are relying on the familiar claim that tax cuts will pay for themselves, an argument widely debunked by economists and the Congressional Budget Office. With Social Security and Medicare supposedly off limits, Medicaid, in the short term, has become the primary target for cuts, but Republican leaders face a dilemma, convincing moderates to accept nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid reductions while pushing tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans. Their strategy hinges on disguising the cuts as efficiency measures rather than outright slashes to essential health care. 3 key policies will likely define this approach. First, Republicans may impose stricter work requirements for Medicaid eligibility. This would add bureaucratic hurdles that could strip coverage from hundreds of thousands of people, despite little evidence that such measures boost employment. In Arkansas, a similar policy in 2018 led to thousands losing coverage without any increase in workforce participation. The CBO estimates a national rollout would leave 600,000 people uninsured while raising only a fraction of the revenue needed to offset tax cuts for the wealthy. It's a scam. Secondly, GOP leaders will push for Medicaid per capita caps, a policy that would limit funding per enrollee without accounting for rising healthcare costs. This would force states to reduce benefits, cut provider payments, or drop people from coverage altogether. Analysis shows that most states would have faced drastic Medicaid cuts had such caps been in place over the past 4 years, disproportionately affecting seniors and people with disabilities. But Trump doesn't care. Third, Republicans will undermine the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, or Obamacare, by reducing federal funding for Medicaid expansion under the guise of blended rates. This move could lead states to drop their expanded coverage, putting up to 21 million Americans at risk of losing their health insurance. And additional measures could include restricting how states fund Medicaid or altering poverty calculations to disqualify people from the program. While MAGA Republicans claim that these cuts will be harmless, the reality is clear. Slashing Medicaid to fund tax breaks for the wealthy will harm millions of Americans who depend on the program, and it's likely that more than half of the recipients of these cuts voted for Trump. And to top it all, Elon Musk, the world's richest man with his $400 billion fortune, could cover all of these cuts so that no American suffers. But he's not a philanthropist, he's a fascist. And now, he's in charge. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.